Yeah. Okay, all members are present, so we'll do the land acknowledgement. Municipality of Dysart acknowledges that we're on the traditional territory known as the Williams Treaty First Nations, which includes Curve Lake, Hiawatha, Alderville, Scugog Island, Rama, Boswell, and Georgina First Nations. And we thank these nations for their care and stewardship as they pass through our lands. Okay, Laurie, a resolution to adopt the agenda.
Be it resolved that the agenda for the regular meeting of the Council of Municipality of Dysart held on December 9th, 2025 be approved as presented.
Okay, mover and seconder. Nancy and Walt, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Any disclosures of pecuniary interest? Being none. Adoption of the minutes, Lori.
Be it resolved that council approves the following minutes as circulated.
Okay, mover and seconder. Carm and Pat, all in favor? Carried. Okay. Any updates from county?
No, it was nice to see, I was out in town yesterday, our Saturday, as it was, the police and, fire department collecting, toys and food for, yeah.
Yep, they do good.
Are less fortunate in our community, and the cars were really full of lots of bags of food, I'll tell you, and lots of toys the fire department collected and money, so that was great to see. As usual, a lot of spirit in our community at this time of year. Thank you.
That's good. Okay, Lori, a resolution to go into public meeting?
Turn on my speaker. Be it resolved that council hereby adjourns the regular meeting of council at 9:02 to proceed into a public meeting to consider bylaw 2025 draft official plan amendment filed DO8 OP 2023-004 bylaw 2025 draft zoning bylaw amendment filed D14 ZB 2025-003 structures in the minimum water setback.
Okay, mover and seconder. Barry and Pat, all in favor? Carried. Good morning and welcome. The public meeting, December the 9th, 2025 will now come to order. A notice to all those in attendance that this meeting will be live streamed to YouTube and recorded. Please note that the recording will be linked to the municipal website. Purpose of the meeting is to present planning applications in a planning forum as required by the Planning Act. This is a public meeting to consider one proposed zoning amendment to the Dysart et al. Zoning Bylaw 2005-120. It is council's responsibility to consider all information received to date regarding the applications and to hear and consider any views you have about these applications. Every person present or registered will have the opportunity to ask questions about the proposals and voice their opinion regarding the same. And when you do, state your name and your relationship to the application prior to speaking. Each person will have up to 5 minutes to provide comment or questions. Please direct all your questions and comments to the chair, and please restrict your comments to planner matters only. And after the public meeting, council will make a recommendation as to whether or not the proposed zoning amendment should be passed. Council's recommendations will then be considered during the regular meeting of council. Once council has made a decision on the proposed amendment, notice will be circulated as per the Planning Act, and all those persons who gave the municipality written notice that they would like to receive notice of the decision will receive a copy. You must make this request in writing to the municipality. If a person or public body who would otherwise have an ability to appeal the decision of the municipality to the land tribunal, but that person or public body does not make oral submissions at a public meeting or make written submissions to the municipality of Dysart in respect to the proposed amendment to the zoning bylaw before the municipality gives or refuses to give approval of the amendment to the zoning bylaw. The person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of the municipality to the Ontario Land Tribunal, and the person or public body may not be added as a party to the hearing of an appeal before the Ontario Land Tribunal, unless, in the opinion of the board, there are reasonable grounds to do so. We now commence the public meeting as per the agenda. The first application on the agenda is official plan amendment, file numbers D080.P 2023-004 and zoning bylaw amendment, file number D14ZB 2025-003, structures in the minimum water setback. The Director of Planning and Land Information will now give a brief overview of the purpose and effect of the amendments. Chris, are you doing this? Or is Jeff doing it?
I'll take this. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, so thank you, Mayor, members of council. Please note that this is the second public meeting on this file. I'll try and keep it quick today. As per council's direction, the following changes have been made to the proposed policies. Accessory buildings within the water setback are limited to a gazebo and a shed, sorry, I should say. Storage sheds will only be permitted on lots that have a minimum slope of 15%. The minimum water setback for gazebos and storage sheds is 5 meters. To address the visual impacts, the policy change has been updated to note that the design of gazebos and storage sheds, excuse me, including the exterior design, shall blend with the natural surroundings and be screened from the view from the lake and from neighboring lots. Sorry. In terms of public consultations, we've received 9 new comments, which I will summarize now. First comment was received from Steve Abrams, who is president of the Lipsey Lake Cottage Owner Association. He expresses strong opposition to any changes that would allow structures near our fragile shorelines. He notes that Lipsey Lake would be affected since it is a lake trout lake and home to several critical fish habitats. Development within the ribbon of life will have consequences for algae blooms, property values, the local economy, and wildlife. The second comment was received from Patricia Abrams, a resident on Lipsey Lake. She is dismayed by the proposed changes, which are a move backwards. She notes that algae blooms and invasive species thrive in conditions created by altering the riparian zone and asks council to reconsider the amendments. The third comments were received from Petra Hammond, a property owner on Bitter Lake. She attended the open house and the first public meeting to show her support. She is supportive of proactive enforcement options and restoration of shorelines, but does not support council's proposal to remove sheds and saunas from the proposed amendments. She is of the opinion that all 3 structures have comparable environmental profiles and impacts, and that none of them pose a documented risk to lake health when placed responsibly within natural vegetation. In summary, she remains a strong supporter of the original amendments. The fourth set of comments were received from Jim Prince, who is the Vice President and Stewardship Director of the Conesus Lake Cottage Owners Association. He notes that an education program about the rules for shoreline structures would have been a better investment. He further notes that this will not resolve the problem that there are too many complaints from property owners about bringing illegal structures into compliance. Mr. Prince notes that during this process, the definition of outdoor sauna was updated to say that no drains are permitted in the outdoor saunas. He notes that now that saunas are being behind the setback, that restricting drains may not be necessary, and that council may wish to update that definition to remove the part that says you can't have drains. Lastly, he questions which specific section of the zoning bylaw restricts structures on docks. Comment number 5 was received from Harcourt Park Incorporated, who have reviewed the Planning Act and have 4 questions for council. The first question they ask is, can site plan control be used for residential lots with 10 units or less? Question 2, can site plan control be used to regulate the color and exterior design of residential buildings? Question 3, how will residents be directed to the site plan control process? In question 4, how will site plan control apply to the individual leaseholds of Harcourt Park, where Harcourt Park Incorporated is the owner of the land and the residents are leaseholders? So staff have been in discussion with Harcourt Park about this, and Harcourt Park does not want to does not want the burden of approving agreements for each leaseholding or having the agreement for each leasehold registered on title to the entire Harcourt Park Incorporated property. They want a solution that would permit their leaseholders to make application for site plan agreement and for the agreement to carry with the leaseholding as opposed to their lands. The sixth comment was received from Christine and Jim Legg, who are residents on Redstone Lake. They do not support the changes. They question whether the proposed amendments comply with section 9.1.2 of the Dysart official plan, which is the section of the plan that deals with area of use limitations and development on steep slopes. They are concerned that living accommodations could be permitted above or in storage sheds and recommend that the definition of storage sheds be updated to say living accommodations are not permitted. They note that some questions from the November 25th public meeting were not addressed, or some of their questions, specifically questions related to structure height, home industries, and the defined term for water setback. They also question whether these buildings can have a rooftop deck. They are not in favor of the policy changes that weaken the protection of the lakes. They provide alternative options for shade, including trees and umbrellas. And they also note that deck boxes are an alternative option for storage as opposed to sheds within the setback. The seventh set of comments were received from the Lake Kashagawigamog organization. My understanding is Mr. Payne is in attendance today and will speak to these comments. The eighth set of comments were received from the Mesquabi Area Cottages Association, who applaud council for scaling back the proposal. They, however, would like to remind council of the undisputed and scientifically proven correlation between natural shoreline buffers and water quality. If council decides to move forward, they urge council to ensure that governance and enforcement are effective. And as they noted last month, they continue to be of the opinion that structures should be limited to 8 feet by 8 feet to prevent conversion to private cabins and reduce the amount of vegetation that needs to be removed. The last comment was received from Dale Leadbeater, a resident in Harcourt Park, who thanks council for the revised policies. However, she notes that policies continue to increase the negative impacts on our lakes. Dale makes analogies to help explain the consequences of the proposed policies. She notes that policies that impact lake health ask for everyone to bear the consequences of a privileged few. In addition, council will be asking for more tax dollars to enforce these policies, which would be money better spent on keeping residents warm and fed. And lastly, she notes that if council approves this, the cost should be imposed on those who take advantage of them as opposed to the general tax base. So thank you. That's the end of the comments. Based on the comments received, there are a few items that I think need to be addressed. Recent amendments to the Planning Act remove the municipality's approval or right to address exterior design of residential buildings, including accessory buildings. And this is something that is included in the policies today. So staff recommend deferral so that I can amend those policies. In addition, staff seek direction from council regarding the concerns of Harcourt Park. As mentioned, Harcourt Park would prefer not to approve all of the site plan agreements for their leaseholds, nor have them registered on title to the corporation. It's a complicated process. It does add liability to them. They'd like instead the agreement to somehow carry forward with the leasehold, not the land, and without Harcourt Park needing to be involved. Kind of like building permits where the leaseholders can go and apply directly for a building permit. If council agrees, staff can request solutions and discuss options from Harcourt Park and the municipal solicitor. So based on those two items, staff are updating their recommendation today, which would be to defer this item, and this would bring this file back to a public meeting in January. I'm happy to answer any questions council has regarding public comments or the staff report. Thank you.
Another public meeting on this? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's the recommendation. I do need to make at least one change to the official plan policies and am seeking council direction regarding the request from Harcourt Park. But I think it does make sense to defer so that we can work with them to try and find a solution.
Jeff, we consulted our legal counsel about the Harcourt Park questions there or no?
We did talk to our legal counsel on this. To give a definitive opinion, he would like to look at the lease agreements from Harcourt Park. He notes that council does have the option to go ahead. These are permissive policies. They're not restrictive policies. But again, he can't give a definitive opinion unless he looks into the actual agreements a little bit closer.
If they can take out their own building permit, you'd wonder why they couldn't do this.
Yeah, and I'm not entirely sure how it works. And it could be part of their lease agreements that gives the leaseholders permissions to apply for building permits. But again, I think their concerns are applying for building permits or variances or zoning bylaw amendments are more of temporary approvals for the leaseholders who own the buildings, whereas this agreement would apply to the lands and need to be registered on title to the lands of Harcourt Park as opposed to just that leasehold.
Okay. So you're suggesting we defer this to January?
Yep, unfortunately, yes. I know we want to get this over with, but yes, that's my recommendation.
Okay with that? Okay. Resolution then.
Jeff,
Jeff,
are you,
you're doing the resolution on that?
I am. So this is going to be a little bit different than the the resolution provided, but I'll wordsmith it on the go. So be it resolved that council received the staff report dated December 9th, 2025, related to a municipal official plan and zoning bylaw amendment to permit accessory buildings in the minimum water setback. And that council directs a bylaw to adopt official plan amendment file D08-0OP 2023-004 be brought forward for consideration during the regular council meeting on December 9th, 2025, and that council recommends deferral of the bylaw. And that council directs zoning bylaw amendment file D14-ZB 2025-003 be brought forward for consideration during the regular council meeting on December 9th, 2025, and that council recommends deferral of the proposed bylaw.
Okay, mover and seconder. Barry and Nancy, all in favor? Okay. Okay, we've got a resolution to go back to regular council. Lori.
be it resolved that council hereby adjourns the public meeting at 9:18 and reconvenes the regular meeting of council.
Mover and seconder. Walt and Nancy, all in favor? Carried. Sorry, Tammy, I missed you there. Okay, that's carried. Okay. Esther and Naomi is on Zoom here. And Carl and Haley are here for staff.
Hi, Esther. I'm trying to promote you to a panelist. May you accept, please?
Was that?
Esther, are you able to unmute?
Yeah, she's there now, I think.
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, okay. Okay, Carl, do you want to start this or do you want her to start it?
Yeah, so she could provide her information first. I could just provide a bit of a background as to the situation. So, I guess when Esther Niemi, she either moved or after she bought the property, she didn't update their mailing address, and so their mail was being redirected to their previous address. So the bylaws specifically state that we send out the notices to the last property that we have on file for the owner. So a lot of the information, including our taxes, we're not getting to the property owner. So it's their responsibility to update that information so that we can send out.
Understand that. Okay, so you wouldn't get your tax bill either then?
I actually get the taxes through the mortgage. So I have like a direct payment from the mortgage to the bank, and then the taxes was going through there.
How much are we talking about here?
Carl, do you have yeah, I think it was like $1,000, and then did the merit points too?
Yeah, I'm just reading the report from Haley, and it says so fees totaling $1,400 have been charged to this property, and that's with regards to the non-compliance letters that we've been sending, which were there's a $250 non-compliance fee for orders and a $150 non-compliance fee with the STR bylaw. Sorry, Haley, do you want to update what the order, the notices have been sent for and the orders have been sent for?
So there was an original notice sent out in November, although those didn't arrive until January due to the Canada Post strike. That was just an advisory. April 8th, there was an order to comply issued that expired in May. Upon expiry, if the advertisements were still active, the non-compliance fee was issued. So there was a letter issued May, June, July, and August and September for the non-compliance with the order. October, we had another Canada Post strike, so mail couldn't be sent out, and if we didn't have an email. So there was nothing there. And then in November, there was a fee issued for a documented stay that occurred in October for $150. So that also, there was another notice for that.
When did you first get the mail, Esther?
I actually talked to Carl, I think it was around September, Carl, if I'm not mistaken. And then you advised me, and then you sent me the link how to change the address. And then this is when I changed it. So it was around September.
And now it's December.
Yeah, so I actually went to the cottage 2 weeks ago, and I did an inspection, and I did like a couple of things that I need to do here. And then that's why I'm here on the meeting, because that was the earliest meeting that I have available.
Well, it's quite a precedent if we start writing them back, but I mean, it is your responsibility to change your address when you move.
Yes.
What's the non-compliance? Just that they don't have the license, Carl, or have they ever applied to get the license now, or what stage are we at with that?
I can answer that one. So there's no application as of yet. The advertisement was deactivated, which is why there was no non-compliance fee issued in November. But there was that one fee in November just for the documented stay, because that was for actually renting out the property, whereas all the other ones were for advertising without a license.
Yeah. So I have all the documents for the apply for the short-term rental. And I just was waiting for this meeting just to submit all the papers. And I have the report that I have for the inspector that she went there 2 weeks ago. So basically after this meeting, I'm going to submit everything because I have all the papers with me right now.
So it sounds like you want to apply for this license now then. But
I'm
you're-
gonna apply for the short rental, yeah, because basically I have a mortgage on the property. And of course, renting the property is gonna help me to pay, like some debts that we have over there, right?
So at this point, though, she has a number of demerit points that's going to restrict her from applying for that license.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
That's right.
Mhm.
Well, what's everybody think? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you would appeal that to the county then, I guess.
Yeah, I was actually doing that. Like I was appealing for the points and I was appealing for the amount to pay.
I don't know how to help you here.
I think that, we definitely the amount of money, $1,400 is a lot of money. And definitely we can't, rescind everything, but I think with the mail strike and the bit of communications going on at that time, were definitely a factor in this. And I would just like to see us maybe bend a little bit and a little bit of a compromise on the fines, even if it's 1 month or something, just to, but and like Councillor Barry Boyce was saying that like in regard to the demerit points, that has to go through the county. And but I think at our end, it'd be nice for us to rescind maybe 1 month or 2 months of the fines.
Well, so getting back to the points thing, that I was gonna bring up later. If you, Kayla, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but because I had another guy just come in to see me about it. If you don't have your license and you just advertise, you don't even rent it, and you get your 3 demerit points, it's 3 years you can't rent for, even if you try to reapply, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
So that's correct. Basically, the bylaw writes that if there are 3 or more demerit points on an active license, we have to automatically suspend. When it's the demerit points are on the premises prior to a license being obtained, it doesn't make sense to approve the license. But the county appeals committee can remove those demerit points at their will. So if the delegate goes to the county, well, basically she would have to apply and then we would deny, and then she can go and appeal that denial to county and they can remove the demerit points if they wish.
So Hilly, is that our condition or is that county-wide condition that if you don't have a license and you advertised, you lose your points for 3 years?
So I think all of the bylaws have a provision to add demerit points if you're advertising without a license because it's applied to the premises, not the license.
So is that something we can change in our end, is what I'm asking?
That's something I would have to look into. I'm not sure where the authority, because we did designate authority to the county for appeals. But yeah, I'd have to look into that.
Okay, just because I had this exact same thing that they hadn't got it far enough along and they didn't realize that they still advertised even though they hadn't rented.
Yeah.
This is like different, she rented. He is, he can't rent for 3 years now. So I think that's an unfair if they, if you want to penalize them until they get a license, that's fine, but not 3 years.
Yeah, we have had instances where people who received demerit points prior to even applying have gone to the appeals committee and they've had the demerits removed. It has happened already. Yeah, there is a lot of extra paperwork, and I would agree, involved in having people apply just so we could deny them so that they can appeal.
Maybe another way, like Walt said about maybe cutting her break, which could be fine, but also is there any way that with the county level, can we send like a letter of recommendation or something that we recommend this lady get her license? That might help at the county level, or is that? Yeah. Is there any, could we do that?
We got Carm going down if we advise them.
Okay. So you can take this and say, okay.
Yeah, well, I'll definitely bring up the next meeting, and I want to bring up 3 points. That's what I was asking Haley when we go to the next one. It's in January, actually, the next meeting, and okay, see if they can resolve this 3 points thing for 3 years. I can see if you got a bunch of other infractions that are whatever, but just because you haven't,
Yeah.
if you've advertised but you haven't rented, like, I think that's a little harsh.
When does this, how long does it take to go through this process then?
Well, they should get on in January down there.
Well, this guy that comes see me, he was 3 months ago, he put his money into the county, he still hasn't got an appeal.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, so he doesn't know if he's just been lost in the cracks or what. I said, we'll go down and see Scott, find out.
Murray and I are at the county tomorrow, so maybe we'll bring up something, get Scott alone by ourselves and see
Yeah.
what the holdup is here. 'Cause I'm sure there's not a lot of these incidents.
Well, no, and they haven't even had a schedule. They just finally got a schedule now once a month, and if we don't
Yeah.
have an appeal, we're gonna, not have a meeting, but no, there hasn't.
Thank you.
You're not making much progress here.
I just have a question. When you started advertising for your Airbnb, why did you not apply for a license at that time?
To be honest, I didn't know I need a license to rent the property as an Airbnb. Not even Airbnb asked me when I applied online for the Airbnb, posting the property and everything. Nobody asked me like, hey, do you need a permit to do this or anything like that? So that's why I didn't have any idea about it.
Where did you advertise?
I put it in Airbnb. That's the only place that I advertise the property.
Well, that's the biggest promoter of them, so.
Mm-hmm.
I will say this ad has been active prior to the bylaw being passed. So when she was setting up her ad, the bylaw wasn't in existence anyway.
Okay, let's do something here. That's very generous. Yep. Okay. Okay, we okay with that?
Yeah, I'm okay with that, Murray, and I'll bring it up at the next meeting and
Okay.
see if we can get her 3 years knocked down to just get
Okay.
your license started.
So if you got a resolution there, Lori? You're working on it, okay?
Be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of the delegation from Esther Naimi of 1114 North Drive requesting relief from fees charged under bylaw 2024-27, and further that council agrees to waive 50% of the fees and direct staff to credit this amount to the property tax account for 1114 North Drive.
Okay, mover and seconder. And Walt, all in favor? Carried. Or Nancy, it should have been. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Carly, you here? And you want to make a request to reduce the rate at the auditorium? So what is the rate now? Well, sure, you can. What's the rate? Do we know the rate? What's the rate now, Andrew? No, and how long do you need it for?
2 hours.
Really?
So I did have a delegation in September that somebody spoke on my behalf, and it was approved at a $25 an hour rate till the end of 2025. So what I'm requesting, if possible, is a $20 an hour rate for 2026.
I don't think we can turn the hydro on in the heat for that, but anyway.
But
You were-
is that space not?
You were at West Guilford. You're not there now? You're not?
So I'm all over the county. So the difficult thing that we're experiencing here is our county is huge. It's very spread out, and everybody wants something in their community, which means I'm paying a rental fee in each community rather than, you know, say if I were in Aurelia or Bracebridge where I would have one central location. So I realize I can't please everybody. However, I am trying my best, hence why I'm here, because what I could do is I could just accept the fee and I could up my rates. That's what I could do to cover all the costs. It is a business and I know you guys need to cover your costs. I need to cover my costs. However, we're not just, you know, line dancing. We're building a community here. We have youth coming, we have families coming, we have single moms with their kids coming, we have seniors on fixed incomes coming. We've had requests with the current line dancing group that uses the facility on Wednesdays for, I believe, little to no fee. And they've encouraged me to come, which is why I'm here, because we do, there's not a lot in the evenings for people of all ages in this community. And unfortunately, because we are so spread out, it does require people to drive and travel. And we've already had people hit deer coming home from a line dance class. So again, I know I can't be everywhere and I know I can't appeal to everybody, but I'm trying to at least be in Minden and Halliburton for affordable rates. And like I said, if I need to up my rates, I will, but I'm here.
Well, you are running a business, you know.
Mhm.
That is a business, so business should be able to carry itself, and you're getting subsidy now. I don't know how we can keep lowering.
There's,
We're going and we're losing a lot of money up there in that building.
is the heat not on for the events that are happening anyways and the lights?
Lights are on for 2 hours and that's not cheap to have the lights in
I
there.
understand, but there are other,
And there's gotta be some cleaning done and there's other things.
and I'm willing to clean the floor when I leave. We bring inside shoes. We're not making a mess. If there's a broom, I'll sweep the floor before I leave. And like I said, if it is what it is, that's fine, but I just thought I would
We're
try.
staying at West Guilford. Don't mind me asking,
It's $25 for 2 hours.
at West Guilford. And why wouldn't you stay there?
Like I said, because our community is huge. The teenagers who live in Halliburton can't walk to West Guilford.
They need the funds too. They're running a.
I'm gonna be there as well. I'm not just gonna be in Halliburton.
Okay,
I want to do minimum
Okay,
2
I-
classes a week. Yeah.
okay.
Would it be helpful if we could just keep it at the $25 an hour?
I would have to up the rates, but so the reason I'm requesting the 20 is to keep it at around $50 for the 2 hours. That's the goal. Like, you know, obviously West Guilford is the best bang for your buck, but like I said, the people in Minden and the people in Halliburton, although it's really not that far. it
Dare I
is-
ask what you're paying in Minden?
Yeah. Pardon?
What are you paying in Minden?
I'm not doing anything in Minden right now. Their
Oh.
costs are, in the winter, I'm not doing anything in Minden because the costs are way too much.
Right.
And the facility, you guys have the auditorium is its own space. They have a vinyl wall put up saying this space is this much money and we play music. So if now someone wants to have a meeting in another room, I'm the obnoxious person with music going.
Okay.
So
So we're all right for the $50 then? For 2 hours? I know you want more than that, but everybody wants more. 20 is 25 in West Guilford. It's 25 per hour here. Was 42 or 41.
I was hoping to keep it $50 including HST. So the $20 per hour plus your insurance rate plus HST puts it around just under 50.
How many people would you have going?
Average is around 15 to 20. Now that said, I currently offer, and again, I'm trying to appeal to the people here, keep it family friendly. I am doing anyone 14 and under is free. So sometimes I get 20, 25 in West Guilford. I had a good turnout last winter and I had 10 youth a part of that. So that's 10 bodies that I wasn't charging for.
Basically, just a little more than $1 per person. Pretty good deal. Okay, well, it's up to council.
You run this out?
I haven't decided what I'm doing this summer yet. We were using the Dominion last summer, but I would like to continue with something in Halliburton and Minden throughout all seasons. But I would be okay with doing something until, say, June, to at least get us through the season where we all need something to do.
Yeah, I'd support the 6 months, $20 an hour.
Okay. Is there more support for that? Okay, resolution and
Be it resolved that council approve the request from Carly Stevenson with Always in Boots Country Dancing to have a reduced auditorium rate of $20 per hour plus HST and insurance for a 2-hour class until the end of June 2026. That makes sense.
mover and seconder. Barry, or Pat and Barry, all in favor? Okay. Okay, Heather? You've done a lot of work, Heather. I just wonder, because we've all had this. The last section is the critical one. Can we go to that and see how that goes?
So just focus on the recommendations as
Yeah,
opposed to an overview.
Because that's where we're gonna end up here. I think, we've all had it for 3 or 4 days, so, I think we've, I mean, you can read it to us again, but I think I think we understand that, so, anyway, start with that and see how we go, okay?
Sure. Yep. Is there, there was a presentation, PowerPoint as well, so we can.
Oh, I see, you got it on a power.
I'm just looking, I'll give you a slide number here. So maybe slide 12, we can start there. Yeah, great. Oh, you beat me to it. So thank you for having me this morning. For those of you who don't know me, I moved here 20 years ago after cottaging pretty much my whole life. And I've worked with the ULink Center for Community-Based Research, Abbey Gardens, the Haliburton County Development Corporation, and Dimensions Retreat Center. And this last winter, I decided to start my own business and do consulting projects like this one. I also continue to work with HCDC and a firm out of Peterborough called Arising Collective. So that's just a little bit about me. It's been a pleasure to work with the Cultural Resources Committee on this update. And so we'll jump into the recommendations. How I approached this was to look at a 5-year time frame, so that there's a little bit of a shorter time span to check in on how things are going. So for the first recommendation, we're still following the same structure as the original plan. So under municipal leadership, we're thinking about communications between council and the Cultural Resources Committee and clarifying for community groups how that works so that they know where to go and who to approach with ideas or concerns. And this area is also linked to educating the community about the Cultural Resources Committee and their role. That was something the committee themselves identified wanting to do. And enhancing connections with the hamlets, I think that's a place where you as council members may be able to help identify leaders in your constituencies. And then finally, coming forward from the original plan, just continuing to think about policies that make sense for cultural initiatives as the community changes and evolves. The second goal was around a strong and dynamic cultural sector. And this is where we see opportunities to partner in ways that include more diverse representation of our community, whether that's ethnic diversity showcased at the recent Diwali event, or proactively finding ways to hear from a younger demographic. and continuing to have that collaboration and outreach. I will just highlight in the process, we did choose to specifically follow up with that age group of 25 to 44 who aren't survey doers. And it was really interesting to hear from that group. And I think that's an important conversation to keep alive. The third goal is connecting cultural and economic development. This is a piece that's obviously very intertwined with the county Economic Development and Tourism Office. And under this recommendation is where we also can think about the needs of existing infrastructure and potential for new infrastructure. So things that you've been doing for the Arts Center Foundation initiative, your openness to pilot the Caboose Bike Hub would be things that would fit under this recommendation. And lastly, in the heritage and identity area, there's so much potential. There's so much excitement in the community and ideas about pieces of historical research. And some of the topics identified in terms of interest in our rich history included logging, Indigenous peoples, hockey, aggregates, hunting, the Mulu Theater, lodges of Kashagawigamog, forestry, fishing, the railway, the cooperages, the list goes on and on. And I think this is where we can see an opportunity for so many of the groups in our community to get involved in doing that research and capturing these stories. And the municipality has the opportunity to provide the leadership for that work to be done. So the next steps, you have the report, and the Cultural Resources Committee also received a draft action plan that gave some more specific sort of meat on the bones of the recommendations. And so their task is to look at that action plan and flesh it out with, whose leadership roles, who takes on a leadership role, and then what are the timelines over that 5-year period. So I'd be happy to answer any questions or hear your comments.
I think you've hit on some pretty important points there. I don't think we've done a very good job of relating the strength of our history overall. We piece here and a piece there, but there's no coordinated effort to show the big picture.
Yeah.
And I think that is something you can focus on for sure.
And it's as I said, it's really interesting. People are very excited about doing that. So how to bring that together to maximize, the amount of stories that can be brought to bear. It's a real opportunity.
Well, this is a lot to digest, a lot of information here. You've done a pretty extensive job on it.
Thank you.
I see you had about 50 people. I noticed that quite a few of them were Dysart taxpayers. Was that deliberate?
Yeah, we focused the survey specifically on that cultural sector in Dysart. So people working and volunteering in that industry. Yeah.
It's interesting comments in that one section. Certainly, I've been through it a couple times, and it's a lot to digest. So at some point, we need to endorse what you put together here, right? Any comments from councillors? I guess we need to spend some time on it.
Great. Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity to present today.
Thank you, Heather. Okay. Yes.
Be it resolved that council acknowledge receipt of the cultural plan update final report presented by Heather Reed for information only.
Okay. Okay. Mover and seconder. Pat and Tammy, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. And thanks again, Heather.
Marty, will there be a time like in the new year that we'll
Yeah,
circle back to that?
yeah, we have to circle back to it. So make sure it gets on the agenda again for.
I imagine also it'll have a lot of discussion at the Cultural Resources Committee, and they'll probably bring forth recommendations as they're ready to implement an idea with a budget request associated with it. That's typically how they
Well, I
do
think
it.
they have a budget request. in there.
Yeah, I think that's already done, but I mean, in general, like that committee will keep bringing things forward for council to review too, and
Is that- Okay. We're good to go then? Dan, Fire Department.
Dan, may you accept the panelist invite?
Good morning, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Can you see me and hear me now?
Yeah, you scared me. Okay.
Yeah, I went to join as panelist and I lost the connection completely, so.
Okay, okay, Dan, go ahead.
Sorry, I'll try not to waste your time here. Just my standard staff report for the most part, numbers. Happy to see that numbers for November this year are a little lower compared to November last year. However, we are still in the long-term trend of being well over last year's numbers. I'm quite confident with 3 weeks left, we'll hit more than 500 call-outs for this year. Happy to be able to announce that there's still lots of interest in joining our volunteer fire department and working with the community. And we were able to hire 4 new members that have started with us here in the month of November. Jacob Dobson, Spencer Mitchell, Nathan Morrison, and Ryan Preston. And they've all made a pretty good job of coming out for calls and practices already. So happy to be able to say that. I don't have anything else unless there's something specific in the numbers that somebody wanted to ask about.
So what do you attribute the high numbers? Like, I think when we talked to you at the budget, you said it was a pretty dry summer, so you did have a lot of fires for sure, or a lot of calls maybe.
So the month of October in particular was more calls because the dry weather, which was comparable to what we had in August. For some reason, even though we didn't have the fires in August, we did have several fires, and that took a lot of man hours for the month of October.
Right.
Happy to be able to say November has again quieted down. In general, our hydro calls and our alarm calls have gone up over the last few years. The medical appear to be still in that 40%, still a little lower from the months of July from the new MPDS system that's come in,
Right.
but there's still a significant amount of our requirements. So.
Okay, thanks. Any questions for Dan? Okay, thanks, Dan. Okay,
Thank you very much.
Be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of the fire department report for November 2025.
Mover and seconder. Oh, Tammy and Carm, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay, Andrea. Yeah, that's right.
Morning. I just have a quick report, just updating. We have lots of public skating opportunities taking place throughout the year. We've seen a real rise in the number of people coming out even to the weekday skates. It's popular, and you see quite a few seniors or people that are semi-retired coming out and taking advantage of that, as well as young families. Over the holidays, we have a slew of public skating available, and we also have some businesses that have sponsored public skates. So it's great. Thank you to those businesses that have done that. I've even had inquiries for sponsored skates in February. So we're happy about that. We have Celebrate the Holidays coming up over the Christmas break, and it's just a teaser for Fun in February, which comes up in February for the whole month to get out in our community and around Dysart and take part in different activities. So that was just my quick little update.
No, that's good. Any questions for Andrea? Okay, resolution.
Be it resolved that council receives this report as information regarding activities over the holidays.
Okay, mover and seconder. Scott and Walt, all in favor? Carried. Okay, building and bylaw. Carl Jesse and Haley.
Okay, we'll start with the building department surplus vehicle. So we are looking to declare one of our Chevy Traxes as a surplus vehicle. It's a 2014. It was our first Chevy Trax, and it was the reason we switched all our vehicles to Trax. Very dependable vehicle for what we do with them. So this one we're not looking to replace. We're just looking to get rid of it.
That's an anomaly when you're not looking to replace it. Anyway, good for you. So what do you just take that to the dealership, or will you advertise it somewhere?
Yeah, so it's being going to be put on govdeals.ca. It's a public auction for all public vehicles, government vehicles that are declared surplus.
Right. How many kilometers are on that?
It's 117, about 118,000 kilometers. So it's not very much kilometers for 2014. And it's still in excellent condition. There is we brought it to Curry's because of an oil smell, so it does need to get the oil pan seal replaced, and there is a leak in the exhaust gasket, so that has to be replaced as well. It's about a $1,200 estimate that they gave us. So because we're not using it, it's like this is the time to get rid of it if we're starting to spend money on it, and it could make somebody else a great vehicle.
Okay. Okay, resolution.
Be it resolved that council declare a 2014 Chevrolet Trax as surplus, and further that the surplus vehicle be placed in an online auction at www.govdeals.ca for public tender, and further that proceeds from the sales be placed into the building department reserve fund.
Mover and seconder. Nancy and Carm, all in favor? Carried. Okay, thank you.
So Jess isn't here. She's not feeling well. All of our staff are being struck with this bug that's going around. But so the septic maintenance inspection program, so year-end results. So this is the year-end report to council. So just to give a bit of a highlight of it. So Harcourt Park, we had 465 properties in total that were subject to the inspection. Our staff completed 366 of those, meaning that the rest of them were done by third-party inspectors. So there are 8 lakes in total within Harcourt Park, and we found 112 high-risk properties out of that 300 and or I guess the 465 properties. So that high risk includes where their bedroom count does not comply with their septic use permit, or the septic system is failing, or the septic tank itself is not holding liquid. So we had it's actually a good result based on other areas where we only had the 112 high risk properties. With that, we also had the lake health assessments. And if you're reviewing the report, so if it starts on page 11 of the report, there are the number of properties that received a 90 to 100% score, astronomical. It blows my mind how many properties within Harcourt Park are naturalized, and there's like only one property that received a 0 score out of all Harcourt Park, and the rest of them received, majority of them received 100%. So that was great to see. With regards to our outstanding areas, so areas 1 through 4, there's a summary there as to what's still outstanding on those in those areas, and it's pretty interesting to look at. So we start with like area 2, we have open orders. So this is on page 14 of the report if you're following along. So area 2, there's 8 open orders still on area 2. So 8 of them have received, and we did this this area in 2021. So we still have 8 open orders. So those 8 open orders are being charged $500 a month since 2021, or shortly after, whenever their compliance date came. And so some of them, they would have been paid around $20,000 so far in fees. It's like that would have paid for a new system by now. for a lot of these properties. So it's interesting to see. The next one, there's still 4 properties that have not given us verification of their pump out. We've identified that their pump out's required. So every month we actually send them a $25 letter reminding them that we need this letter. So that's back from 2021 that we've been doing this. We have orders to install is the next column, so only 3 remaining out of there. So what's happened sometimes is that people comply with the order by taking out a permit, but don't install the system. They just basically comply with the order. So we're on to that, and we go back and we say, okay, well, this has been over a year since you received your permit. You haven't installed it. So now we issue an order to install, requiring them to install the septic by a certain date. If they fail to install it by that date, well, now we go with the order review fees again. So it's hard to get by the system without us catching it. So we're going to, follow up on these systems that we've inspected, which is a big part of this program. A big part that's missing out of a lot of septic reinspection programs is this follow-up. So as you see, if you go through the years, the higher the area, the more orders are outstanding, because it's not so much time has come by. Anyway, that's about the highlight of that. So within Harcourt Park as well, so we cut our teeth on the STR inspections as well. So with the STR inspections, what we're doing is reviewing the site plan that they give by law to get their license, and we're making sure that's accurate. Are all the buildings on that property that they say is on that property, or are there additional buildings? We're also looking at the building itself, so the dwelling itself with regards to the layout that they provide. So on their fire safety plan, are they providing all the exits? Are all the bedrooms where they're supposed to be? All the room types, are they what they're supposed to be as well? So we're also looking at their smoke alarm placements and giving an education on their smoke alarms. So are they, giving letting them know that a smoke alarm only lasts 10 years? How long has it been since you've installed this smoke alarm? So you might have to replace a smoke alarm if it's been over 10 years, making sure that they have the fire extinguishers in the locations that they've identified on their fire safety plan. So moving forward, we're looking at, so next year, we're going to be focusing strictly on STRs. So we're going to be doing about 260 inspections. This is about the number of STRs that we have in the municipality. So that's what we're going to be focusing on in 2026. Completing a septic maintenance inspection, completing the lake health assessment, and the STR inspection. Any questions on that?
Yeah, Carl, that's kind of crazy that open orders.
Yeah.
The 8. So are these people, is this going on their tax bill and they're paying their tax bills, or
Yes.
are they ignoring the tax bills too?
So again, I can't comment on whether they're ignoring their tax bills, but yeah, it's going on their tax bills. We send them an invoice and let them know that it's being added to your tax bill.
Just out of curiosity, what's holding them up from that they got? Are you hearing any specific reasons why they're wanting to pay $500 a month instead of doing a replacement? Or?
I don't get into that part of it. So their septic maintenance supervisor is the one that deals with that. Unfortunately, she's not here today to answer that question, but you can definitely ask her that anytime. Send her an email, just kind of ask that question. And, I'm sure everybody's got their own reasons. Some people are I think trying to ignore us. But it's interesting why there's that many from area 2 that are still outstanding.
They'll probably say it was a postal strike and they changed their address.
Yeah, they'll be coming to council and asking and getting half their fee waived. And
hope not.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So Braden, when they have orders on the tax bills, like month after month after month, do you track those as to when they're paid, or is it just when the due dates of the payments come in?
They don't show up. Our tax system doesn't let us split out
Okay.
what's fees and what's taxes, so they show up on the tax card as unpaid taxes.
Okay.
Okay. So, resolution.
Be it resolved that council receives the Septic Maintenance Inspection Program 2025 year-end report as information.
Mover and seconder. Walt and Tammy, all in favor? Carried. Okay. Bylaw update report.
Morning. So our bylaw update report, it's only 2 weeks of information just because it's a short turnaround. November did come in with significantly more complaints than last year. We're seeing a lot of zoning coming in. In terms of our fees, monthly fees are processed mid-month, so they haven't been processed yet. So that's why they're listed as not applicable on the report. And then I also wanted to check in. I sent an email to everybody with the sample survey for the short-term rental review survey. I just wanted to know if anybody had any comments, or if you want to send an email to me later, that works too.
Any comments on that? Well, I'll speak at once. Okay. I guess not.
Okay.
You have a question?
I have a question for, on the STRs, is the MAT tax, do you have an amount that was collected?
I don't offhand right now. That's definitely something I can pull for maybe the next council meeting for the 2025 year exclusively, or we can do from the beginning. Yeah, I can pull it. It's just pulling. It takes a minute for it all to come through. I don't know if you want to. I don't think you want to sit and wait for it to come through. It'll take some time. Just because Granicus has to generate it.
It won't be nearly what we anticipated anyway.
Braden has it.
Graydon,
The Matt, the last time we pulled GP was right around 60,000 for the year for Matt.
60.
Yeah,
And we
60.
get 1% of that then?
Oh,
We get
Well, okay.
that's total take, and then we kick half of that up to the county. So we
Oh, yeah,
netted
I
about
did see
30.
that in the budget.
how much is Garnicus for us? Cost?
That's just the mat tax.
Just
That's
Matt.
the mat,
Yeah.
we have more money coming in from the registrations.
I think it costs nearly $60,000 for
Yeah.
the people to look after it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, a year.
I think it's 50. I think, well, if I remember, it was 50 something.
58 for Granicus.
Yeah.
And the STR revenue is about
Took all the money.
135 right now for STRs.
Yeah. But it's better than us trying to do it, I think. But we're
Well, I
not
think
gaining much.
the
here.
whole idea was to be revenue neutral at the start, and at least we're covering our costs with it and potentially making money.
It should be easier for them from now on.
Yeah.
They shouldn't charge the same.
Yeah, that was just the first year, so this has been the toughest. So
So is
Hopefully it gets
Garnicus
better.
gonna come down in price? Or does it stay the same?
we're on a 3-year contract right now, so we'll be able to review it at the end. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so resolution there. or-
Be it resolved that council accepts the bylaw update report for December 2025 as information.
Okay, move and seconder. Carm and Pat, all in favor? Carry. Okay, thank you. Okay, Public Works, Dave? Okay, go ahead, Dave.
Sorry about that. Okay, so good morning, council. We got our road maintenance status report for November 2025. So bridges and culverts. We did twin culverts replacement on Moose Lake Road, and then a twin culvert replacement on Trappers Trail Road, which we finished right before the snow hit, so that was good. Brushing and tree removal. So brushing for snowmobile trail, for lights to docks, tree removal for snowmobile trail also. So we handled that, and I met with Parks and Recreation on that also. Snow plowing removals as required in accordance with level of service standards. Sanding and salting as required in accordance with LOS level of service standards.
We always have a problem with Harcourt and Conesus Lake. Sometimes we don't get snow here and they get a lot. I think we had that last weekend. And in Harcourt, I think they had a foot and we had 2 or 3 inches. So
yes,
you do what you see, but I don't know how we could be alerted that it's that kind of a storm up there.
well, we currently, during the weekends, we have a scheduled patrol. So our scheduled patrol usually leaves around 3 a.m. in the morning, which has touch points in Harcourt, some cots, and then various locations throughout Dysart et al. So when that patroller is out on his shift, he goes through the level of service and minimum maintenance standards, and then at that point dispatches what is needed. Obviously, if there is more snow to fall afterwards, then that's not while he was on patrol.
Yeah, and we wouldn't know that. No.
Not at the time, no.
Question? So if people have an issue with the road and they call that toll-free number, does that number contact the patrol person that's on that day?
It would go to the designated, so whoever is on patrol that day, yes.
And do they have to go out and check it out or just make some sort of report about it?
They would check into the inquiry. So if it was a dangerous matter, so if there was a dangerous road condition, they would look into it, yes. And if they needed to dispatch somebody out at that point, they would.
I think, cool.
Dave, we got a couple of comments from Halbert Lake people there too. Just wanted to check, did some of the roads that had the hard top get plowed and some that didn't have the hard top
Yes.
not get plowed? Is that how it worked?
Of course it did. Yeah. At this time in the season, if we don't have frost in the ground, I'm going to tell my guys not to drop their plows. So if it's early in the season, we're going to do more damage to our plows, our trucks, and our roads if we plow gravel roads before that frost gets into the ground.
Okay, I
Could
just
be there now.
I totally get it. I totally understand. I just want to make sure I can give those people that answer. So, yep, thank you.
Yeah. No worries.
Okay, any other questions for Dave? Okay, resolution.
Be it resolved that council receives this report outlining roads maintenance activities for January 2025 as information.
Mover and seconder. Carm and Barry, all in favor? Carried. Okay, traffic operations. This is-
Good morning, Mayor, members of council. So this is a follow-up from a direction from council in May of 2025, seeking a traffic operations report in the area of Hook, Line, and Sinker, which also encompasses the government dock entrance and York Street, Highland Street intersection. So the findings of the report are that there is a warrant for lights at the Highland and York Street intersection for a weekday peak hour period. So there is a delay for traffic turning left or southbound onto York Street from Highland. Over the next 10 years, that is expected to get worse, but that is the only warrant that exists at this time. There isn't a warrant for pedestrians crossing at the intersection because, as you'll note in the report, everybody that's crossing to go to the restaurant is crossing at the government dock intersection, which is uncontrolled. So in accordance with the Ontario Traffic Manual, there is some discretion in the engineer's opinion as to where a traffic control device can be placed. Generally, you want to keep them 200 meters apart, just so you don't get everything so congested. But with what they saw on the video, they had video up there for a couple days in the summer. They saw that the the warrant is higher. There's more of a concern at the intersection of the boat launch and the restaurant than there is at the York Street intersection. So based on that, they are recommending that a pedestrian crossover be placed at that intersection, which is kind of the opposite of what the last TIS indicated 10 years ago. So the recommendation is at least get the design done this year. I don't know what the desire of council is to get moving on this, if they want to construct it this year or just get the paperwork ready. But I am recommending if you want to do a design in that area, you take the design right from York Street down to the lights along Highland Street, because that road itself is nearing the point where it needs to be rehabilitated. It was last resurfaced in 2020. And my hope at that time was to get 7 years out of it. So we're entering year 6 of that surface. So it's going to happen quick if you want to do the work in that area.
Never mind, it's not in the budget either.
In terms of timelines, and you might not be able to answer this in terms of cost either, but in terms of putting a crosswalk there, what are you looking at, rough numbers and time? Like would be 6 months?
I mean, I think the design can be quick once we kind of finalize what we're looking for. I believe they did make a recommendation for a type B, which has the overhead lights and all that sort of stuff. But I mean, it'd be a quick turnaround to get it constructed, I would think, once the design's finalized. As far as a cost, I've reached out. I'm having trouble getting a cost on them, quite honestly. And I'm pulling back into my memory bank from the one that the county did at Halbium, and I want to say it was about $60,000 or $70,000 several years ago. So, I mean, I would say 100,000 should be close.
Oh, the reason I ask that is that to me, it's a smaller piece of the puzzle. If we're going to do the whole street and timelines, it's going to take a budget in 2 years and engineering and everything to do the whole main street versus 6 months to do the crosswalk, where to me, there's more liability. And if we are doing repaving, the crosswalk, other than the paint on the road surface, the mechanics are all there to get it done and do it later, resurface the pavement later when we do the street, my own opinion, but anyway.
Well, and that's why I'm suggesting do the whole thing at once and then build that pedestrian crossover into it. And then you can fill in the gaps later using the same drawing. So that's the only reason I suggested going that far. You don't have to. I mean, we could piecemeal it. It's just a little cleaner if you do the design all at once.
And I agree with you, other than the time, right? So if we're going to, another 2 summer seasons go by, I'd like to see us go to work on the crosswalk now and, you know, and then do the street separately, if that's the case. It's my own opinion.
Just for clarification, Pat, are you talking design or actual construction when?
Both.
Okay, because he's just asking for design right now, right? For this section?
Yeah, if we design it, once we get detailed design, we'll have a better idea of costing. So, I mean, if we take the first step and get numbers on the design of it, I don't think it'll be a desktop kind of exercise. I have the initial topo survey is done in that area, so they can start on design right away, and then we'll have detailed costing right after that.
Yeah, we'll get a costing. And again, when I was down there a while back, there's two, anyway, whether they comply or not, there's 2 existing poles just, I'm going to say to the, I guess, the west or the south there that are already there on that note. I don't know if they fit the design criteria, but it might be a bit of an advantage to use those if it's applicable. But anyway, that sounds good.
Well, there's another thing coming up, and I don't know whether this council want to look at it, but we definitely, we're the coming out of Helbium with that crossover, that's not going to be able to stay there, because eventually, whether we like it or not, we're going to have to close Wallings Road. There's potential for about 100 housing units in there between the old MNR and the other one. And they're going to have to go out Helbium's, and that's going to create lights there, because you can't make a left-hand turn there now, hardly. So I was just thinking we could bring those up to the other side. I don't think there's any, I don't know. That's going to have to happen. This council at some point is going to have to say, we're going to close Wallings Road, or we're going to make it a right-hand turn only off 21. Or because that's just, we're not going to get anything approved up there It's the way it is right now.
I think too, Murray, that maybe two different conversations, but that's also the county's involved with that whole, that could take a couple of years. I'm not trying to push this down
No,
the line any
But
farther.
they're saying it's not their responsibility. It's our roads. It's us that wants to get the people out. And so they've pretty well washed their hands of Wallings.
Well, what-
Are they gonna wash their hands of the new development, say down past the Tim Hortons?
Yeah, yeah, that's gonna be on us. That's part of the 92 acres.
They're working themselves out of a job soon, aren't they?
Well, you know,
the approval should go better then.
I've tried, I mean, I'm trying to get it on them, but they're saying that it's because of our development that we require lights or a turnaround or roundabout or whatever it is. And it is. So it's hard to argue that.
Back to the crosswalk, I feel whatever we can do to get it set up
Underway
and
somewhere.
underway, then to me, that's what we could focus on now. These other things are something we can talk about.
Yeah, they're coming up right away too.
Okay.
I think there's a proposal now to get, there's an offer coming right now on some of that land, just as we talk. But they can't do anything with it because they can't get off the road. So. It's not, it's too bad, you know, we got so much development that could happen, but roads. We got, nobody ever anticipated that kind of development on 21, I don't think. You know, you couldn't even see it. You knew it was going to happen, but not as much as there is. Anyway, so we're going to go ahead and do that study right away, Pat?
Yeah, I'd like to.
Okay. Okay, Rob?
Yep, got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Be it resolved that council receives the report on traffic operations along Highland Street between York Street and the government dock boat launch as information, and that council directs that staff provide engineering costs to rehabilitate Highland Street from York Street to Glurt Road, including a provision for a pedestrian crossover at the government dock entrance, and that the engineering costs be considered in the 2026 mayoral budget.
Not gonna happen. We're so far over now. Anyway, we'll put her in, see what happens. Okay, moving second, Pat? And Barry. Good. Okay, another dicey one, Mountain Street and Maple Avenue. Rob?
Yeah, a bit of a dog's breakfast on this one too. So this one I'm just going to present as information only. This will be coming back once I get comments from the MTO. So again, this was brought on. Council wanted to look at a provision of a pedestrian crossover in the area of the Royal Canadian Legion. So we did look at the whole stretch, basically from Dysart down to Mountain Street and then over to Highland Street. The good news is the Highland and Maple Avenue intersection is operating appropriately. So there's no real upgrades needed there, nothing significant unless we wanted to change maybe the detection type or the light heads or something of that effect. But the level of service is operating appropriately there now. The report recommends that a pedestrian crossover not be placed mid-block in front of the Royal Canadian Legion just because of its proximity between Dysart and Maple Ave. Again, it goes back to the desire to keep traffic control systems 200 meters apart throughout the town. It did suggest putting one in front of the town hall in two locations, you know, crossing Mountain Street and crossing Maple Ave. The consequence of that in my mind is it's also recommending a four-way stop at that intersection. And I do have concerns that truck traffic may not be able to navigate that corner if we put an all-way stop there. But that's kind of the next step to this. I want to see comments from the MTO on this, see what they have to say about it. And then from a geometric design, we'll have to make it work on paper if we can. If we can't make it work on paper, then I think we're back to square one, quite honestly.
That's a tough one. Those big trucks.
It is. I mean, the good news is we don't have to make any decisions right now. Just know that it's out there. I mean, the report's there to be reviewed, but until we hear back from the ministry, it's kind of, we're in a holding pattern.
But they don't have any more property either, and neither do we, so.
That's right.
Too narrow. Okay, resolution.
Be it resolved that council receives the report on traffic operations at Mountain Street and Maple Avenue as information.
Mover and seconder. Carmen, Nancy, all in favor? Carry. Okay. Maybe now we can make some headway here. Head Lake pedestrian bridge.
Yeah, so I reached out to another vendor about the bridge in the center of Head Lake Park. I did get some budget numbers for a modular steel bridge deck. Similar, it's the same style that we put on Koshlong Lake. It does meet AODA. It's not as wide as what was proposed from DM Wills. So basically on that, we would be saving, 6 figures on it, on the bridge itself. The foundation is still a bit of a question mark in my mind. We had proposed deep foundation. The vendor is suggesting maybe shallow foundation. So I do have our engineer kind of running some numbers to see if we can make the shallow foundation work. There is some concern that if you go, the soils aren't great there until you get about 5 feet down. So the concern is the wider you make your footing, the heavier it gets, and it's just going to settle some more. So we got to find the sweet spot there, but I'm happy to return with some better numbers at the next meeting. And maybe we can move ahead with this on a different scope of work on the superstructure.
Be nice if we could get that old bridge out of there this winter when the ground's frozen and not tear everything to pieces.
Yeah, depending on if it's in the budget or whatever, Murray, you could definitely get that out. And the screw piles, if they go with the screw pile scenario, or even existing load bearing stuff, you could
Right.
definitely get that done and put piles in this. You can put piles in when the frost is there. But anyway, at least you're saving money.
Well, we are, and we have the money for that one. That one's not a concern with the budget. So we go right ahead with that if we can get it done.
Yeah.
Get started.
Rob, I'll catch up with you later on. I found, anyway, I've been doing some digging on, we did some of that work up north and I got an old contact for Bridge 2. Bailey type bridge might help bring the number down on that note, but anyway, see where it goes, but it sounds like we're on a better budget path than what we were.
Well, that's about half, I think.
Yeah. Thanks, Rob.
Okay, resolution. Thanks, Rob. Resolution?
Be it resolved that council directs staff to return with detailed costing on a modular steel bridge deck that complies with the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act that is suitable for replacement of the Head Lake Park pedestrian footbridge.
Okay, mover and seconder. Pat and Carm, all in favor? Carried. Okay, bylaw amending of depot operation services agreement. That's out?
Yeah.
Darn. Okay. Okay, I guess that's good, Rob. Anything else for you, Rob?
Not on my end, no.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, finance. Yeah, okay, Walt has a question. Oh, you want a break? Oh, okay. All right, we're going to have a 10. Braden was already Okay. Okay, November, check summary.
Just
have?
housekeeping.
Any questions on it? Okay, resolution.
Be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of the November 2025 check summary.
Okay, mover and seconder. Barry and Walt, all in favor? Carry. Tax applications.
Yeah, so there's two different properties here. The second property or the third line's a demolition. The first one is a request for a 2-year of tax relief. So it was a severance and there was a shed on the property that got assigned to the wrong role over the course of the severance. So they backed that off their assessment. And that's the reason for that decrease.
So it's right off.
Yeah.
Okay. Can't be very much.
No, it's $270 for
Yeah.
2 years.
Okay, resolution.
Be it resolved that council authorizes tax adjustments for applications made under section 357 and section 358 of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended.
Okay, mover and seconder. Pat and Carm, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Life Leaps Labs. Did we change that?
Yeah, so we had a request from Life Labs. Their lease expires in June. They wanted to exercise the 3-year extension clause. And now when I was looking at this and I'm looking for feedback on it, there are 3 different leases and they're all set to expire in 2026. Each of the 3 parties right now pays a different per square foot rate. So in the lease that's come forward, it drags the Life Labs rent up to the highest of the 3, where it's $1.44 a square foot a month. That would be an increase for them of about $2,100 a year. If we left it status quo and just kept bumping it up 2% CPI, it would be $19,341, $1,556 a square foot per year.
The last time their lease came up, they threatened to move out.
That's why I'm asking if you want to take that approach.
Yeah,
Yep.
good. No, that's right. I think we need them here. We definitely need Lab here. I think we better go with the 2%.
Yep.
Okay?
Will do.
Yeah, you get your blood done. Resolution?
Be it resolved that bylaw 2025-119 being a bylaw to authorize the lease extension and amending agreement with Life Labs be read a first, second, and third time passed, signed, and the corporate seal attached thereto.
Okay, mover and seconder. Pat and Carm, all in favor? Carried. Okay, hometown dentist lease, we just firmed that up last meeting.
That's from last delegation. Yeah.
And they're moving in January,
I think it's February.
February?
Yep.
Okay, resolution.
Be it resolved that bylaw 2025-120 being a bylaw to authorize the lease agreement with your hometown dentist be read a first, second, and third time passed, signed, and the corporate seal attached thereto.
Okay, mover and seconder. Nancy and Barry, all in favor? Carried. Okay. Employee benefit renewal.
Okay. We received our 2026 benefits renewal from K Brewer. So it's an increase of 0.6% in total over 2025, which is about $2,700.
It's better than we thought, isn't it?
Yep. Much better than we thought. Yep.
I like him already. Yeah. Okay, so that's good news, Braden. Okay, resolution.
Be it resolved that council approves the employee benefits renewal proposal from K Brewer Financial Services, Inc., effective January 1st, 2026.
Mover and seconder. Barry and Nancy, all in favor? Carry. Okay, this may not be quite as good, okay? Insurance renewal.
Better actually. So unlike the last few years where it's been a pretty hard market, it's starting to soften now. So they came back for a 1-year renewal at a negative 0.7% renewal rate. So $3,100 decrease in our premiums from last year. They're also offering us the option, if we lock in our core policy, our municipal general liability for a 2-year term, they'll cut that premium back 2.5% further and then hold it steady for the next 2 years. So that would save another about $5,000.
No, they want that locked in for 2 years?
Yep. Yep.
Is that? I don't,
That's it. Yep.
I'm not afraid to do that, are you? No, sure isn't. We take that saving too.
Yep.
Okay. Resolution.
Be it resolved that council accepts the municipal insurance program renewal proposal from Marsh Canada Limited effective January 1st, 2026 to January 1st, 2027.
Okay, and there's an option there, so that wasn't there. Yeah, so he's gonna do the option, I guess. It's not in the resolution. Okay, mover and seconder. Pat and Carm, all in favor? Carried. Okay, scale of fees for tax registration.
Yeah, so we have an old bylaw, dates back to 2003, that charges administrative fees for tax sale process. It's obviously been a long, long time since we've looked at that, and our costs have gone up. So I sat down with Cindy and Crystal and worked out what a reasonable fee would be based on our time at each stage of the process. So they're reflected in the staff report there. If those are agreeable to council, when we bring the fees bylaw back in January, I'll incorporate those in there. It would be about $20,000 in revenue additional in the 2026 budget.
I like that too. Yeah. You got any more? Okay, yeah, so. Resolution.
Be it resolved that council approves the outlined amendments to the scale of fees for tax registration purposes, and further that staff be directed to include the revised fee structure in the 2026 user fees bylaw.
Okay, mover and seconder. Walt and Nancy, all in favor? Carried. Okay, tax bill processing.
Yeah, so last one. So we're looking to make a change on how we process the tax bills. So right now, the file goes out to an external printer, and they print it and send it back. We go through and manually consolidate for owners who have multiple properties, and then run it through our own postage machine and mail it out that way. So I'm looking to have all of that done by the third party company, and based on some preliminary costing I've gotten, we can still cut our costs back about 20% plus, say, the weakest half time that we're spending right now in the mailroom. So I'm going to issue a spec sheet to bidders and see where the costs fall. But
so who are you going to get to do them?
So Parker Pad, we're gonna go to Parker Pad. We're gonna go to Smelly's and Bracebridge, and I'm gonna ask around for a couple of other names.
Get the quotes.
Yeah, get some quotes. Yeah.
So Murray, I'm good with saving money on this too, like everything else, but I did get a call from Janice last week because we've already sent her an email, and I talked to Braden this morning, and he shouldn't have sent it quite so early, I guess, that we weren't going to use her this year. So she was concerned and wanted to know why. And, you know, if we're only going to save 1,000 or 2,000 a year, I think we should keep it in Halliburton.
If it's 1,000, sure.
Yes, it's $1,000. I think we should keep it in Halliburton. So it's good that he's going to give her another shot at repricing it. But I'd like him to reach out if you don't, or I will. I don't care, and explain why we did this.
Yeah,
And
tell
so she knows.
her it's all about the money.
Well, and she said nobody's ever come to me. Is it about the money? Is it about this? Is there a problem with what we're doing? And so by all means, I hope they reach out, and I'll explain it to her too. I'll call her.
It's that week of staff time too, so it's those different processes to see if she can do those as
No,
well.
I understand completely, but she was just left in the dark why we dropped her, you know, up to what went wrong, so.
Well, there's a new hired gun in town, so there you go.
Well, and just part of our regular procurement either, we haven't gone to market in a long time, and just for your sakes to know that you're still competitive and things
Yeah,
like
no,
that too.
I understand that.
Yep.
She just had a lot of questions.
No, and he's doing the right thing. He's
Yeah,
going right
absolutely.
back at it for sure. Okay, so resolution, Lori?
Be it resolved that staff be directed to obtain competitive pricing and secure a supplier for the processing of property tax bills.
Okay, mover and seconder. Carm. And Barry, all in favor? Okay, all in favor? Good. I think we're doing well. Okay. Look at who's up front now.
Only the third time. So I'm here today to give you the update of the PSD implementation that I came to you guys in November of last year for.
Yep.
All of our departments, as you can read in the report, are now onboarded, aside from planning and building, because it's a different section. My numbers were a little incorrect in the report, so we've had 1,258 work orders as of this morning entered in from April till now. And we have 192 service requests, so complaints and or our facilities that we maintain, they submit requests for us to do heating issues or plumbing issues. And currently there's only 4 sitting open, so that's a pretty good turnaround of our stuff. Yeah, we have implemented like a 2 business day rule that they must contact the person who submitted the complaint to at least respond. The system does automatically send a response to the customer, but just to acknowledge that we have received it and we're looking into it. So next steps is just maintaining the public portal, getting it out there for some social media advertisement of this is the new way of reporting for concerns. But other than that, I'm quite impressed with it. Any questions?
So you're using social media?
We are using social media to promote the portal. I'm thinking about recording like a quick video of a demo of how to do it. So in the report, I gave you screenshots of how to submit a request, but I just want to make sure people have a full walkthrough of how to submit a request, be it a roads complaint or a parks complaint.
It's nice because it creates all the workflows now. As soon as somebody does that, the tasks get assigned by the department heads or whoever's delegated, and then the person making the request gets that feedback directly to them. So they're not calling you all the time wondering where something's at.
Yeah.
It has been very well received so far from the people who are using it.
Yeah.
If it works the way it's supposed to, it's great.
Yeah, there's a joke that I have trained the untrainable to how to use it, so I'll take it.
Haven't tried to train me yet.
But it's also like we have 57 users in the system now between all of our departments, which the previous software we're using, we could only afford 19. So there's over a $25,000 a year savings with that many users.
And we have the ability too to have a lot of engagement. Like myself, I have it on the app on my phone. So if I'm walking through town at lunch and I see a tree down along the shoreline or something, I can enter it right away while I'm thinking about it because I'm going to forget when I get back here. And then it's already working its way through the workflows and somebody's going to get it and they have so much time to deal with it. And it's just keeping things from falling off the table and getting forgotten about when something new comes in. And
it also
Is that a real $2,500,000 saving, or how do we measure that?
It means I didn't add it to your budget.
Oh, I was definitely listening.
Yeah. If we wanted, like with the previous software that we used, it would have cost us over $25,000 to have this many users use it. But we just didn't do it because we couldn't afford it. So this time.
Okay, so there's really no saving, but you're saving, but you're.
Yeah.
better service.
Yeah. Okay.
Better service for less money.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Good. Any questions for Daniel? No, it's all good. That's good, thank you.
Resolution, Marie?
Yeah, resolution.
Be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of the PSD citywide implementation update report for information.
Mover and seconder. Walt and Tammy, all in favor? Carried. Okay. Planning. First one should be easy, we just deferred.
Are you ready for us?
Yeah, we are ready, Chris.
All right. Yeah. So the first item is the official plan and zoning bylaw amendment that was discussed at the public meeting this morning. Council recommend that this be deferred.
Okay. You're going to do that resolution, Jeff?
Yes, I'm going to simplify it. So be it resolved that bylaw 2025-13 be deferred. And further that bylaw 2025-114 be deferred.
Okay. Mover and seconder, Barry and Pat. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next. Deeming bylaw.
Yeah, this is a shore road allowance application. There's bylaws 2025-116 and 117, which are bylaws related to the road closing application and a deeming bylaw for the lands of Dworon on Benor Lake. This file was deferred last month whilst we were waiting for our registered survey. We have now received that and the bylaws have been completed and staff recommend approval of both bylaws.
Okay. Any discussion? Mover and seconder. Carm and Tammy. All in favor? Carried. Okay, next.
Yeah, the next item again is a road closing application in front of the lands of McLean on Halliburton Lake. They plan to build a new dwelling garage. Although there's no structures located on the shore road allowance, there are variance compliance issues related to the dwelling, the garage, and the other accessory buildings on the property. The applicants have submitted a minor variance application to address these issues, so they are being reviewed. So staff recommend approval of the application.
Okay. Discussion? Mover and seconder. Barry and Pat. All in favor? Carried. Okay, next.
This is some correspondence that was sent to council from Mary Ann Collin, who is a resident on Eagle Lake Road. She's requesting a reduction to her minor variance application fees. Staff recommend that council deny this request. The administration work still needs to occur to process the application. The application still needs to go to the Committee of Adjustment. And if the applicants don't cover these costs, they are transferred to the taxpayer. But I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Any question about that? I don't think we can start that. Okay. Okay, mover and resolution.
Be it resolved that council deny the request made by Mary Ann Collin to reduce the minor variance application fees.
Okay, mover and seconder. Barry and Nancy, all in favor? Carrie. Thank you. Okay.
Yes, the next one is just a summary report on Bill 60, which is fighting the delays for building and faster act of 2025. On November 12th, 2025, the Honorable Minister Rob Flack issued a letter to heads of council regarding Bill 60, inviting municipalities to review the proposal and provide feedback. The legislation received royal assent on November 27th, 2025, and the letter and summary report was provided for council's information. The bill proposes that Bill 60 introduces changes to the Ontario Land Use Planning Framework. The intent is to accelerate housing and infrastructure development by streamlining the approvals and reducing regulatory barriers. The bill also includes changes to the Landlord-Tenant Board notices and timelines. Just some key items of the bill include expanded ministerial authority, which is the minister's decision outside of the Greenbelt no longer need to conform with the PPS. Changes to the ministerial zoning orders, which now they post them online, or the non-regulatory orders, and timelines and conditions can be imposed. As of right variances, this is another one, and certain zoning standards such as height and lot coverage may be varied without formal applications, so it could just go straight to building permit. Delegation of authority. Municipalities can delegate agreement authority to staff. The minister can intervene if timelines aren't met. Transit-orientated development, which doesn't typically or doesn't apply to this area, but OP amendments, adding residential uses in the protected major transit station areas. Community improvement plans, just barriers removed for more flexible use. The green development standards, which is more for Toronto, and the green roof requirements have been removed, and the province consulting on standardization. Official plans proposal to simplify and standardize structures, make plans more permissive. And minimum lot size, they're considering reductions or removal to support housing supply. And if council has any questions, that sort of concludes the summary.
That's a mouthful for sure.
There's a lot of changes going on. That's correct.
For sure, it's kind of wrecked the, when you can go around the property or the provincial standards, that's saying something.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that will impact us, but it's certainly the right time to be doing the official plan, because you should, of course, you don't know whether to incorporate that in it or not, do you?
No, it's something that I think we're just we're all kind of just scrambling to look at and seeing how all these changes, how they're going to be incorporated and how that looks as we move forward.
Good. Any questions for Chris? Okay, resolution then.
Yeah, so be it resolved that the letter from the Honorable Minister Robert J. Flack, Minister of the Ministry of Municipal Housing or Municipal Affairs and Housing, pertaining to Bill 60, the Fighting Delays Building Faster Act 2025, be received by council for information purposes.
Okay. Mover and second. Walt and Tammy, all in favor? Carried. Okay. Thank you very much, Chris and Jeff.
Thank you.
Okay, right on to Tammy again, Harcourt.
The ladies committee haven't had a meeting.
Okay, West Guilford,
No, nothing, Murray.
Rails in.
They're busy as always. They ended up donating nearly 200 handcrafted items to local organizations from their craft circle that they had. They're working on their Trillium Grant Foundation for the capital project that they want to do. They have getting prepared for all of their annual exhibitions. On and on, and they're open Wednesday to Friday, Saturdays 11 to 4, and lots of really beautiful Christmas.
They got, yeah, some Christmas stuff, yeah, for sure. Okay, good. Resolution.
Be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of the November 2025 Rails End Gallery and Arts Center report.
Okay, mover and seconder, Nancy and Carm, all in favor? Carried. Okay, BIA, Pat?
Yeah, Marie, short time since last council. There's no action there, as well as Harvest Halliburton yet.
Okay.
They had their women's shopping night. Every place was packed.
They had their women's shopping night. Every place was packed. I wasn't there, so I forgot what.
It was.
And I think we got the snow off the street for some of it too, which
Yes.
is good.
You bet.
Yeah.
It was a wonderful turnout.
Yeah, that's
Thanks.
great.
Thanks, Counselor.
How much did it cost you? Okay.
Paid for the snowplow.
Okay. Okay, Harvest Halliburton. Nothing?
It's the same, Murray, no meeting.
Okay, Kawartha Halliburton Source Protection Walt. That's been a good one to be on, hasn't it? Upper Trent Water Management,
No.
that one too. Okay, Draft Cultural Resources Committee minutes, okay? Resolution,
Be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of the draft minutes from the November 27th, 2025 Cultural Resources Committee as information.
okay, mover and seconder. Pat and Tammy, all in favor? Carried. Okay, resolution to go into closed session.
Be it resolved that council adjourn its regular meeting at 11:07 to discuss matters pursuant to section 29239 2 of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended pertaining to a proposed disposition of land in the township of Dysart, Stothart Creek subdivision.
Okay. Mover and seconder. Tammy and Nancy, all in favor? Carried. Okay, resolution then for yeah,
Be it resolved that council approves the estimate of market value dated November 12th, 2025 with respect to Lot 12, Plan 637, Stothard Creek in the geographic township of Dysart, municipality of Dysart et al. And the purchase price of the lands is set at 200,000, and further that council directs that this lot will be sold to Greg Brown on the condition that he agrees to pay the municipality's legal costs for the land sale. Plus HST.
Why is that? Okay, mover and seconder, Barry and Carm, all in favor? Carried. Okay, any notices of motion? Thanks, Jeff. No, none. Confirming bylaw.
Be it resolved that bylaw number 2025-122 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the regular council meeting held on December 9th, 2025, be read a first, second, and third time passed, signed, and the corporate seal attached thereto.
Okay, mover and seconder. Pat and Barry, all in favor? Carried. Adjournment.
Be it resolved that council adjourn its regular meeting held on December 9th, 2025 at 11:28.
Mover and seconder, Walt and Carm, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. And it was a pleasure, Lori, working with you today.